Hello everyone, welcome to Healing Talks. My name is Carla and I will be your guide through these inspiring dialogues. In Healing Talks, we explore the meeting point of spirituality and science, ancient wisdom and modern understanding. Let's dive in. Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode. Today we will dive into two themes which are common for all of us. These themes are death and our inner child. We invited very special woman for these two topics, Prem Sugandho. Welcome. Hi.
Hi, good to see you, Carla. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, you are specializing for these deep themes for years, for decades. Can you tell us and share more about your story? Because I've heard you spent a lot of years in silence, in meditations, in emptiness, and you also study these two topics in sociology and psychology. And maybe you can compare the traditional way and the modern educational way.
I just lost you for a moment. Okay.
Did you hear the question?
I did hear the question. Which theme would you like me to start with, death or childhood?
You can start with introducing yourself a little bit.
Okay. Okay. So, I was pretty early on I was 21 when I started my inner search. And I went to India because I felt I needed some different input. I came from Catholic religion, Catholic background, and I was looking for something very different. And in India, of course, there were so many religions all together, and I was spending time in an ashram, and actually I learned to meditate there. And that was a big shift in my life, because meditation is an introspection that brought so many new things about myself, that I saw things I didn't know about. And it was very different from what I had done up till that point, meaning to study, to go to school. So this shift of looking outwards for answers and looking inwards into myself was very beautiful to experience. It was also demanding, of course. I was very young at that time. Um, and I actually then throughout my life, I was going back and forth. Yeah, I was going into that introspection, into the East, learning all kinds of alternative methods, and going back again to the West, where I would continue my studies, where I would work in the normal world, in society. And I think both was very important for me to have. So it wasn't that I was going away and sitting in a cave or sitting in a monastery all by myself. Of course, there were times of silence where I would go for retreats, but it was always a coming and going, and that I think was very healthy for me, to never lose the contact to either of the two.
You are focusing in your work on inner child, and it's I from my point of view, it's really a base. Like when I ask myself how can I be happy, I always ask myself how the little girl can be happy, and when I make her happy, I'm happy too. Can you explain for those who really don't know what inner child means and how to work with this essence of us, and what's the meaning of inner child for our whole life?
Are you still with me? Because you're frozen for a moment. Okay. So the inner child is, and it is something that actually science now is starting to catch up with, even though we're working with it for a long time already. That whatever we experience, even before birth, yeah, even in the time inside the mother's womb, is something that keeps a mark on us, an imprint on us. So whatever we have experienced from this early stage onwards stays in our nervous system, in our body cells, in our energy system. And many of those experiences can be also very traumatizing, yeah, like separation from a parent, um, health issues, or death of a family members. It can be, yeah, something that is not easy for a child to handle. So the natural thing a child is doing, yeah, it's like a natural anesthesia, is to separate from it, to put it safely away, not consciously. But yeah, whatever we separate from or dissociate from is not going away. Yeah? It stays within our system and it gets triggered in our daily life when we're growing up. Um, a big field for triggers is our relationships. Yeah, when we come very close to somebody, when we fall in love with somebody, the chances that this person will trigger emotional wounds that we have safely stored away, it's almost unavoidable that this happens. Or we can develop yeah, body symptoms, yeah, that it could be eating disorders or um, panic attacks, social anxieties, etc. And then we don't relate that usually with our childhood, but it is related. So because of these wounded parts, it's often difficult for people to actually relate in a positive way to the inner child. I get this question very often that people say, why should I go back to this painful period in my life? I want to overcome it, forget about it, and look into the future. So it is often through difficulties in our life. It could be a sickness, it could be a relationship situation that then brings the person to say, okay, I do have to have a look where this is coming from. Why am I reacting the way I do? Because sometimes our reactions then are like as if a child in us acts out. And it is that inner child in us that is becoming activated. What people can learn in that process is that this inner child is not only a source of woundedness and anxiety and pain, etc. It has a big value in our life once we are learning how to connect with it. Yeah, it brings a lot of spontaneity into our life. It brings a lot of curiosity into our life, of liveliness that we actually don't want to miss as adults. Yeah, and it's often a little bit marked as naivety or Yeah, naivety is maybe the best word. And it's not, yeah. We have an innocence. Innocence doesn't have to be naive. Yeah, there's a difference. So it's worthwhile finding these healthy parts in us. Mm.
So basically, the inner child influence all themes or like all topics of our life. Like it influence our relationships. I believe it influence our success, our career, our hobbies, everything. And
Right.
I love the name, like it's a imprint. It's like part of us. How we can unlock the access to this part, because imagine that you are a hardworking person, you are almost still in a hurry in this modern world. It, I believe, for most of the people, it's really hard to even imagine there is a part of them like inner child. Like, what is it? How can I work with it? I believe like the first step is to stop, but then what? How can I help myself to connect with this part, or even realize there is a part like this inside of me?
Yeah. Well, it really depends very much on the individual story. If there are traumatizing experiences from childhood, it should definitely be handled in a professional way. Because part of the wounds of the child is that the child didn't have anybody to turn to. There was some disconnection to the parents. So the child felt lonely and isolated very often. So trying to work that out alone is not a very good idea, yeah, because it reactivates that feeling I'm alone in the world. I have to do it all by myself. So a professional help is important, and there's also very beautiful group work, yeah, and there's a lot of activities around that in modern times, and together to find even meditations that help here, and doing something together in a very different concept than what we do in our daily work. Yeah, it's like going for a vacation. Yeah, going for a vacation on the inside.
Yeah, that's that's
Yeah.
really nice. And maybe are there like any tips? Because, for example, in one podcast I've heard, which really good tip, which really helps me. I have a altar next to my bed, and I put a picture of me when I was 2 years old um, on the altar. So I was
Yeah.
looking at my mini me every morning, every evening, and it really helped me to connect to this essence. And have you have any other?
Well, I like to ask people to do playful things in their life. Like our daily life is often very intense and a lot of serious and responsible things to take care of. So in our free time or in our daily activities, to include something playful, yeah, to do something that is different from what we would usually do. Yeah, that can be from wearing different colored socks to eating with our hands to decorating our living room or bedroom or whatever, or in the car, in a playful way, how what a child would like. And that can be in the beginning a bit challenging, but it helps. Yeah, it helps us to connect with that part that is in us. We cannot really separate from it.
So just step out of the routine, what we have maybe,
Yeah.
and do something crazy, what we don't usually do. That's really great. I love the idea with socks. Like put on like.
It's it helps, for example, to go to a playground, and just see what other kids are doing there. Yeah, you get lots of inspirations in playgrounds.
Yeah, that's so nice. I know you will be facilitating workshop at Healing Festival on Inner Child. What we can expect, what we will be doing there.
Well, I don't know who the people are that gonna come, so I have to be a bit careful. um, but I have a festival to help people find that connection, which in a group is often actually easier than just one on one. Yeah. And to do, I usually start with a little bit of a guided imagination to reconnect with memories from childhood that were pleasant, so that through that imagined connection, yeah, we find an encouragement to actually give a voice to this little child in us, yeah, or a bigger child, yeah, it can be all kind of ages, and then do little exercises, very simple, that allow some expression to that child part in us, and that part in us is actually waiting desperately to express itself. Yeah, nobody in this world wants to be all day long, yeah, a serious adult.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so happy we will get a chance to work with you. And for those who never experience work with inner child, because I see the practice of connecting with our inner child is one of the most profounding practice what I've ever experienced. As I said, be connected to my little girl brings to my life enormous joy, enormous feeling of fulfillment. Because when I
Yeah.
follow her voice, what she needs, I'm super satisfied in my life. So I really want to invite everyone who's watching or listening to your workshop, because miracles will happen after you will connect to your inner child. You can believe me, and I believe you. You, Prem, can confirm this information that it is happening.
Yeah, I mean, we need a bit of patience and time for it. It really depends where we are on the journey. But definitely, yeah, it makes us more complete. Yeah, we are not complete without that inner child and being in touch with that inner child. We are incomplete and we are not happy. Yeah, it leaves something in us that won't let us really be at peace with ourselves until we find that part back again. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom about inner child. Now we will switch the topic a little bit. It can
Okay.
seem like it's on the other side of the spectrum, but from my point of view, inner child, it's always with us. And also there is death, which is all the time with us as well. And if we realize we will die one day, we can live fully. But in society, we often avoiding even talking about it, realizing that we will die again. But I think still the death generally it's one of the greatest teacher, and you work with this topic so deeply. Can you share something what come up to your mind first when I mention death? What's important to know and realize in our life about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest problem here is that we avoid it so much. Yeah. And it hasn't always been like that. Yeah. when I look back, when I was a child, the first time I experienced death was, I was 5, when my grandmother died. And at that time, I'm German, the dead person was staying at home until they were buried. It was usually a period of 3 days. And in that time, the neighbors, the family, the friends would come and say goodbye to the person, not in a coffin. They were lying in their bed, open to be seen. And I remember my parents discussing if they should let me see my grandmother to say goodbye. And I said, of course, I want to say goodbye to my grandmother, so they let me go. And so I was 5 years old and saw the first time a dead body of somebody that was, my grandmother was close to me. And it wasn't frightening for a child. A child can very much understand that there is something tremendously different. And yet, it brought up in me a lot of curiosity. There was nothing of tragedy in it. It was a lot of curiosity and what is going on here. Very beautiful. So my first thing I would like to suggest to people, don't avoid to talk about it, to meet dying people. Don't separate children already from small age on as if death is only a tragedy. It's not. And I think we've lost something on the way over the years, by focusing only on saving lives and making lives longer and excluding that aspect that is so certain, that nobody will escape from it. So the whole inner attitude can change when we have more connection and experience with that subject.
I think a lot of people are scared about death. There can be various reasons, like the physical pain, if there is any, losing control, like we are losing control, we are kind of losing our egos. So what do you think? What really scares us? What's the main fear why we are so scared about death?
Well, it's the unknown. We don't know what's going to come. We don't remember. If we think of past lives, if we believe in that system, we don't remember the past lives and the past deaths. So this unknown is pretty scary. Then we have to go alone. We cannot take friends with us. We cannot take anything with us that we are attached to, like teddy bear, our favorite clothes or whatever. We have to leave everything we know behind. And that in itself is a very, very scary thing, besides all the fear of pain and possible crisis in the process of dying. And it's a final moment, We will not see the people we love again. We might meet them, well, in the next life. I do believe in more than one life, but they will not look the same. They will be different people also. So what we have in this life will be gone for good, There's no going backwards. And from my experience, facing death, for example, I accompanied my mother when she died, was such a lesson. It was such a beautiful lesson she brought me into life. I helped her to leave this life. It felt very complete. And I learned a lot about the stages. So there are so many ways of going into palliative experiences as a, like even if I do that in my private time, just to not avoid this experience, I think is very important. And in the work I do, I'm addressing these topics. And again, we're doing guided journeys and imaginations and meditations to meet on the inside what might happen to us at one point in our life. Yeah, we try to open to these spaces and to these states that are all happening on the inside. Yeah, so the more we are familiar with our inner world, the easier will be also when the moment when we're meeting death. Yeah, we will somehow feel more familiar. I can say from all the friends I have who have been meditating for many years, I see them dying a lot easier than most of the people I know who don't do that. They are letting go more easily. They are more willing to say, okay, this is part of my journey. I know my inner world. Yeah, there is some relaxation about it.
I'm so
And
happy
if
you're
I don't have that,
Sorry, I'm so happy you are mentioning the meditation, because from my experience, I believe it's really important to prepare ourselves for the moment of death. And don't be scared of it, because uh, I've been studying ancient cultures for years, and it's a huge process of dying, even before, even after. So, can
yeah.
you maybe recommend something how we, Western world, can we prepare ourselves for the moment, and is it possible to be conscious about it, go to the death theme without panic, without resistance, with really like open heart, how invite the death to our lives so we can live more fully?
It's interesting you're saying to live more fully. It's the fuller we live, the less we have stress when we let it go. Yeah, when we don't live our life fully and we come to the end of our life, there is this sudden panic. Oh my God, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I missed out on this. So when things are fulfilled in our life, we can say, well, I've done what I needed to do. It's all right. Yeah. The acceptance of death is a lot easier. Mm. So, on the one hand, connecting to death makes us live fuller, but also a full life makes us accept death easier. Then there are beautiful meditations. We're going to do one on the festival that I really like. There are also whole retreats um, to learn what are the stages of dying, what happens when we leave the body, what happens after we leave the body. Yeah, it's called the Bardo. Um, re- Bardo means the transition. Yeah, so we are in a permanent transition actually. Right now we are in the Bardo of living, which then will turn into the Bardo of dying eventually. Yeah, so there's always a transition from one state to another. And participating in such meditations, workshops, retreats gives so much clarity, gives so much more safety on the inside that, yeah, I am actually preparing myself in a good way. And it brings the two worlds closer together. Yeah, it's not there's this junk and then there's that junk, and I don't know how to bring them together. Yes, we can. And dying is not only the physical dying, like every day we die. No day will come back to us. Yeah, this interview, what we're having right now, will never repeat itself. We can do another interview, but it will not be the same. Yeah, so in that sense, we are dying all the time. Every evening, the last day is gone and dies. And the next morning, we're starting a new one. We cannot repeat any day that we had before. And this understanding that we are actually in a constant dying process. Yeah, we're seeing our children grow up. They will not always stay babies. They will grow up and become different people. Our partners change. We change. Our body's changing.
I'm so happy we opened this realization, because every time I realize what you just said, it's so deep. Every time. And I've realized it for so many times. But still, realization that nothing will repeat ever again makes me really motivated to live the life I really want. Thank you. Thank you,
Not only the
Prem.
life, every moment, every
Yeah.
moment. It's not the whole life, every moment.
Every
Yeah,
moment. Yeah. Thank you, Prem, for your
every
wisdom.
moment counts.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your time. I cannot wait when we will meet personally at Healing Festival, and we will suck even more of your wisdom and experience this wonderful work and meditation with you personally. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I'm so happy we had you here. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla, for inviting me, really.
Thank you, and see you at Healing Festival.